But painful, once again painful. Over the next 30 minutes, as Lata pointed out, we'll talk about the top stories which define the day. We'll take your questions and our experts will answer those questions. So joining us today to answer your questions, we've got Mayuresh Joshi, Mitesh Thakkar, both on charts and fundamentals. Gentlemen, thanks very much, both of you, for being with us here on the show.
Well, that's the word. I wanted to ask questions of Mayuresh myself, but then there is someone who has written to us. R. Kamath from Bangalore has written to us with a question on Reliance Capital. Actually, that stock year to date is down 50%. He wants to know what is the time to invest 12 lakh rupees in that company. Why would he not diversify? I don't know. Mayuresh, what would you tell him?
Evening, Lata. No, I think you're absolutely right. You should probably diversify at this point of time, because it doesn't make sense to lock in such a value at this juncture. Having said that, again, I think a mixture between qualitative banks and NBFCs is something that the investor can look at in a staggered way. So I think banks like ICICI Bank, where our own belief is that the earnings momentum should slowly and steadily catch up, or even something like an HDFC Bank where the retail franchise remains extremely strong, is something that the investor can spread his investments across. Again, from the NBFC universe, a lot has been said. What you're actually saying in terms of prognosis actually is turning out right in terms of the entire universe, and the sentiments being sour when the earnings are concerned. But again, I think qualitative stocks here, stocks like Bajaj Finance on declines, HDFC probably is something that can be looked at. Reliance Capital, I think I'll be staying away at least at this point of time.
Okay.
Okay, let's take some questions. Nagaraj Kulkarni from Karnataka has written in with a question on Voltas. He's been holding 150 shares of the company. He's paid 381 rupees each. Wants to know if he should hold or sell. 150 at 381. Mayuresh, over to you. What's your sense on Voltas?
So Prashant, I think with the duty hikes which have taken place, and obviously with the JV that Voltas has signed up, yes, the impact can be quite meaningful, and the only option that the company will have is to pass it through. Now, when they pass it through, I think the inherent demand probably just gets compressed because of the increases in prices. Again, I think the latent inventory in the system itself will also ensure that the entire pass-through does not happen. So as the Blue Star management was mentioning, all the other factors, including rupee depreciation, would also take a toll on their margins. But a large element in terms of their other businesses, including the domestic one, has held up pretty well. Apart from this JV, which might have a near-term impact onto the stock price and the buying price at which the investor has the stock, I think he can hold on to the stock if he's a long-term investor.
Okay, hold on to Voltas.
Sanjay Biswas, Sonia, thanks very much for that. Sanjay Biswas from Kolkata has written in with a question on SpiceJet. He's been holding 100 shares of the stock at 74 rupees. Price is 74 for the last 20 days. Wants to know if he should hold or sell. Mayuresh, what would you tell Sanjay?
Now, apart from what Sonia was mentioning, which absolutely turns out true for the aviation stocks, I think crude and rupee depreciation are the two key sensitives in terms of earnings profile, and both are not working in favor of them. Add to that, I think the inability to probably pass through end prices affects their yields and their EBITDA margins as well. So I think the aviation stocks have to a large extent absorb the kind of earnings downgrades that they'll face. They're also entering into Q2, which is one of the weakest quarters that the aviation stocks will face, and the translationary nature in terms of the P&L because of the rupee depreciation. So I think the tough times for aviation stocks is going to continue over the next 2 to 3 quarters if these two variables don't change. So unless the investor probably has a longer view, I think he can hold on to the stock. If he doesn't, he can probably look at some stocks, as I mentioned earlier, something like an HDFC Bank or an ICICI Bank.
Okay. Well, we cannot take any more questions because we have run out of time. We wrap up this edition of Markets Today. Talk back, Mitesh, Mayuresh. Thank you very much for joining in and taking questions from our viewers.